Okay, we're waiting. Here we go. No one more. Hello, Janice.
Hi there.
How are
New
you?
computer. If I appear and disappear or whatever,
Okay.
don't panic. I'll find my way back again. But honestly, it's driving me crazy.
I will not
But
panic.
for now, I'm here.
Great. I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes before I start the meeting because Claire's going to be a couple of minutes late. We don't have
Sure.
a quorum.
Sure.
Mayor Doug is supposed to be here in lieu of Bob. So I reset the Zoom address just in case he missed. But so just wait a few. Paul wasn't sure if he's going to be able to make it or not. So we'll just give it. I'll wait till 5 after for Claire.
Sure.
That's okay. Everybody's good?
We're good.
Good. Gary, you're good?
Yep.
Good. This hot day. I've been hiding inside the house the whole time.
Yeah, I do not do heat well, which means the last few years have been
It's
much. You hit 40, it is not funny. And most people, I worked outside for so long.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's the bad back that takes you out of the landscape industry. No, it's the heat that finally
It's the humidity,
gets
right? The humidity is, it can
Yeah.
be very, I just don't do well. I feel it in my lungs. You probably don't mind either.
I don't have it.
Well, and I grew up in Winnipeg, so it's not that we don't get heat.
Yeah.
But we tended to get humidity for
Drier.
about 2 weeks during August, in which everybody moaned and groaned and carried on in general. And, it was done. Here, the humidity just whacks it right out of me.
Good.
Yeah.
And you don't have any choice, Gary. I know, neither do we, but we still complain about it.
You have air conditioning though?
I do in my fine little house. I don't know how I would manage without it because I have asthma.
Oh, yeah.
And I, the humidity just, I cannot function very well in it. So I hate to use AC, but for me, for health reasons, I don't really have a choice. Anyway.
Well, I find without it, I mean, it was not bad. What was it? A couple of weeks ago, we had a lovely batch of weather where it actually got cool every night and you could open the house up and there was fresh air. If I don't sleep at night, my own mother wouldn't want to know me. I am not a nice person if I'm exhausted. And that's, during the day, you can kind of find ways, but at night, if it's stifling.
Yeah, it's just not healthy. Anyway.
Many years ago, and I do mean many years ago, I worked for Statistics Canada, and we worked on a publication that was called Travel, Tourism, and Recreation. And what was interesting about it was you had to look at everything. You had to look at the economy. The economy tanks, people don't go places. So you really had a very broad scope. And we compared Canada with other nations in that. And at one point during some research for some darn fool thing, I ran across a World Health Organization publication. Most of it was pre-computer days. That'll tell you how long ago it was. They had done a study.
There's her. So I'm going to interrupt. Sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
Just because I want, and I think, Mayor Doug is going to be joining us. He might be a little bit delayed. He didn't know what time the meeting was at. So anyway, I think that, sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
Janice, but I think we're going to go. Hi, Claire. Thanks for being here.
Hi.
So I think I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order because I know we've got a couple of things to talk about.
Yep.
So you okay, Janice? Getting your pencil sharpened? And we are live on Facebook, by the way. So that did start again. And it's also being recorded, so you all know that. So it is now 5:04.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? at all? Anybody?
No such luck.
No? Okay, that's great. Thanks. Okay, so let's take a look at the agenda. Everybody has a copy of the agenda in front of them.
I move to accept the agenda.
As is. Any questions, comments, or is everybody okay with the agenda as is? Yes? Okay, great. Excellent.
Is there
Have a
an official
seconder?
seconder?
Yeah, seconder.
Sure.
Very well.
Thank you, Gary.
Great, thank you. Okay, now let's move on to the minutes from the June 22nd meeting. Does everybody have a copy of that? Or would you like me to bring it up on the screen for us to look at together?
Bring it up.
Okay, so let me share my screen and I will bring it up for you. Okay, so here we go. We'll take a couple of minutes to just look at it.
I did get a couple of comments when I first sent it out.
And they
Something
have been incorporated
Paul,
into
which
this.
I don't recall, but I know I fixed it.
Okay,
And also something from Bob.
okay,
So this has at least a couple of tweaks to it.
perfect. I'm going to scroll a bit here. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Welcome, Doug. We're just reviewing the minutes from the June 22nd meeting.
Yes, yeah, sorry for being late. Oh, hang on.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Whew. Good news, bad news. Bad news, Bob is away.
Yeah.
The good news, I'm tending his garden, and there are about 12 tomatoes that were on the ground. They're now in my pot for soup.
Nice. Good for you. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a bit. We're just reviewing these minutes, Doug, so that to make sure
Yep.
there are no changes or.
Yep.
Let me know if I've gone too fast, everybody. Okay, and then I'd like a motion, please, to approve the minutes. Unless there are any changes.
Full motion to approve.
Thank you, Claire. Seconder, please.
I don't tend to feel I should be
Oh, yeah. Oh,
approving my own minutes.
Gary's still reading, so he's a very
Yeah,
slow.
we'll
slow
give him
read-
time.
Slow reader. Oh my goodness. Thorough, let me just say. You able to second the minutes, the approval, Gary, for the minutes?
Yep.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Excellent. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And welcome, Doug, to our meeting. We've just gone through and approved our agenda. Have you got a copy? You received a copy of our agenda? Okay.
Yep.
And we just approved the minutes from the June 22nd meeting. So we are moving on to new business. And that is a list of recommendations for the incoming council. Items that we think should be explored or addressed as a starting point, basically, for the new council, whoever that may be. So
That's
I'd
great.
ask everybody to come up with 2 or 3 suggestions, and then Janice will will create a list of some of those suggestions. So would anybody volunteer to start? Claire. I can always count on Claire.
So I think looking back over everything, all of our documentation, I think the clearest projects that I see as like a launching opportunity to take on for a new council. The top one would be what came through during the strategic planning as one of the main priorities I saw was taking care of our water system, meaning preventing shoreline erosion, working with RVCA on shoreline planting, beach cleanup, all stormwater buffer strips, and identifying stormwater outage points, and that whole water present, like that kind
Protection,
of ecosystem,
yeah.
was a main priority for like most residents in the village at the time that was done, the strategic plan. So I would say that's an area we haven't really gotten a chance to work on as this committee, and it would be a really good thing to come back into focus for the next. And the other one, which was kind of what I brought up at a recent meeting, is that Smiths Falls and surrounding communities have taken on these very comprehensive tree canopy preservation programs, where they're keeping track generally of an overall percentage in their urban footprint of tree coverage, and trying to make sure that that is at least not shrinking, if not improving over time. So I think that because there's an example all laid out, ready to go of an effective plan so close to us that we could consult with them or ask them questions, or whoever the next EAC is could consult with them. I think that one would be pretty easy to get going on for a committee.
That's great, Claire. Thank you. Those are both very important ones, and I agree 100%. Anybody have any comments or questions or additions to what Claire has proposed?
Well, there's certainly two of the things that I ticked off as I went through the strategic plan, and it could be that a couple of the things, because that was done sort of before I was part of the committee, there may be progress on that I'm not aware of, but those were certainly two of my major
Suggestions
concerns or
Yeah.
interests.
Have you any additional you'd like to add?
Well, I
to
think
that?
in a way we have been addressing it to a degree, but I tried to focus on the things that were not going to cost a great deal of money and yet could still be done and still create some value. And I think probably we can still do a better job of encouraging composting and waste reduction, that kind of thing. That's primarily education. Yes, it might cost a bit to send things out at certain times, but it's something that I think everybody can do and yet isn't a major capital investment. And those were sort of the three spots that hit me as I read through, thinking, well, yeah, we can do something about this without, as I say, without investing a huge amount of infrastructure money.
Yeah, thank you, Janice. I'd like to add to that
Yep.
in just more information based on what you just said, and I'd like to suggest that the new council investigate grants through the Federation Canadian Municipalities for waste reduction opportunities. There are a lot of grants available out there.
Mm-hmm.
And my second suggestion would be revisiting that contract with Limerick. I think we're on the month-to-month contract with the new council. I'm hoping they can explore contracts with other companies. I don't think the current council took as much time perhaps as we think they should have to make the decision about continuing the month-to-month contract. So I would like to see that issue revisited and explored again. Anybody have any comments on what we've said so far, or agree, disagree? Gary, Claire, do they fall in what you're thinking as well? I just want to make sure we're not going off on different tangents and that we're setting these priorities.
Could I say-
Yeah, go ahead, Doug. If you want to say something yet?
Well, no, I'll wait for if other
Okay.
members want to say anything first.
Okay, and then because I'd like to get your suggestions as well.
I just want to compliment what's been said so far, but I'll wait till if anybody else has a comment first on the suggestions so far. If not,
I'll wait, Doug, if you don't mind waiting for Gary's suggestions, and you can perhaps comment on all of the suggestions that come forward.
perfect. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
Ann.
go ahead,
So-
Gary.
I had the landfill site, and wow, the waste reduction part is the one that I think we have the most opportunity on, because I mean it is a cost, and so now we're just talking about how do we do better, right? So I mean and unfortunately there's no way around it. It's going to cost money. It always does. It's just the way it is, right? So we have to. The other thing too is I think we have to make sure that we're not just doing stuff that doesn't actually make a difference. Because I think I still don't believe when we get the report that every bit of garbage we put in those containers goes to recycling. I don't believe it.
Me neither.
I just don't believe it. So I kind of think there's a lot of like, I think there's a lot of people thinking they're doing the right thing and it's not doing what they think. And so, yeah, we got to get it to a spot. And I think that then does become, how do we deal with compostables, right? Is probably the biggest thing that we can reduce. And it's got to be a better system than hope that they do it in their backyard, because it's not quite working out, right? Most people don't do it.
They
So
don't, yeah. And I think that's a good point. And that's why I think with, exploring some of those opportunities through the Canadian Federation of Municipalities, then there are grants available to help in those transitions, I'm sure, because you're right, Gary, the composting is a huge issue. And unless you live in the country, people living in the village, a lot of them do not compost. So,
that's right.
yeah, so those are excellent points. Anything else that you'd like to add, Gary?
I had, like, I think with the tree stuff and that part, I think like we can all see how many dead ash trees there are now. Pretty obvious how many of them are.
I'm staring at one as you speak, Gary.
Yeah, so I mean, the obvious challenge is going to be that stuff can't really go anywhere. It's all got to get chewed up here somewhere. So I mean, again, we got to figure out how that's going to get done, how they're going to come down, where it's going to get chewed up, and how we're going to use the material that's left over. And then part two is how do we try and create a landscape where we don't have as much risk in the future? Like, so it has to be more species that are native with natural ability. And then we got to have variety. That's going to be the key. But again, it's all part of the same package and it fits into what Claire said. So those are the things to me that stick out. Like the dead ash tree sticks out badly right now. And it's not just the ash, but the ash are worse right now because so many of them died. So they show up more than the elm, but the elm are already dead. They're the ones that are actually falling down in the storms now. So, and it's not going to be a small problem. It's going to be expensive. Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that has to be dealt with. And again, an excellent point, Gary. So we've got three areas really that we're talking about that I think are achievable, extremely important at this stage. And I don't know if anybody wants, as we're speaking, wants to add anything else come to mind or want to add to the list. I will ask Paul. I have asked Paul for his contributions. So he thought he might show up today, but he wasn't sure. He was potentially going to be away. So I would like to add his suggestions to our list as well. So I'll make sure that Janice, that you get those. Doug, would you have any questions or comments or anything about what we've just?
I'd love to, and hopefully I jotted them down that I can read with my writing. But the first one was mentioning the stormwater system management, which we can easily, I shouldn't say easily, within the urban areas, say in Miracle, certainly working with Aqua to a degree, although they're more the collecting of waste as opposed to the storm water system in terms of pipes in the ground. Nonetheless, they can be, if you will, if not a partner, certainly someone to work together with to make sure we have an understanding with how we are collecting stormwater in an urban area of Miracle. But it also applies in Easton's Corners and to a degree in Jasper, where we have the stormwater system. Where is that water going? Well, we know it typically ends up in the river, but what is that doing? I think the comment was shore erosion and so on. And that's where a great partner is with the RVCA, because they're involved. So education, understanding, sort of where the system's going now, what is the impact, what might be able to be done to mitigate if there is a negative impact in any particular area. So I like that on a personal basis, but also making sure that we understand on the agricultural community, how they're managing their farmland if it is contiguous with a water course of some sort. The tree canopy, I like that idea of it's always better to work with a program somebody else has as opposed to a blank piece of paper. A couple of comments in there. You probably manage to figure out, are we ahead, behind, or staying equal with trees that are coming down in our urban areas, Merrickville, again, Easton's Corners, Jasper, because we do have a tree planting program. Now I think it's typically $1,500. So how many trees are you getting? And typically we do the streetscapes. So there are only so many places on the streetscape because you have hydro wires and so on. But the point being, there may be a way to measure, how many people cut down, as Gary just said, ash trees this year. How many trees did we plant this year? The other thing is, when you get into the more rural areas, education is a really, really good point, because the RVCA has, tree planting programs that are, and I'm not 100% sure, can I just have a tree, or do they have a, particular program you have to match up with? But again, opportunity to better educate ourselves and see who are partners that can help us plant more trees, quotation marks, and have an understanding what's happening with the tree canopy. Certainly in the urban areas. You get in the rural area, somebody owns 40 acres. We don't know, trees die and so on. Anyway, good points. Composting, I like that. And education is really, really good. I'm amazed at people when I talk to and I say, well, I compost, and they, oh, what plastic thing do you have? I don't. I don't. We must have raccoons. I don't. Like if you put the proper composting in, you're not going to have rats, raccoons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Except at this time of year, the sweet corn cobs, the compost, the deer like to come and get that. And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that.
So do the squirrels, based on my experience.
Well, okay, everybody has. Well,
We've all got squirrels.
I hesitate to say this, but I'm looking for a rabbit stew recipe, because the one rabbit I planted 4 times, ate my lettuce, ate my cilantro, likes the Italian leaf lettuce, not the curly lettuce, and I have maybe going to harvest 2 tomatoes this year. Maybe 2, because a rabbit eats everything up to about 18 inches, and any tomato that starts to ripen eats the tomato. Anyway, thanks for listening to my complaint. Anyway, there are lots of opportunities just on in the garbage collection. It's something will need to be done, because I'm not sure if everybody knows, Martin Sanitation is not there anymore, and Solo, I think that was a company, they're either going to start not picking it up. So we have this challenge in the rural area. There's a survey done 6 years ago, and a lot of people said, no, don't contract it out. Martin needs the job, or we don't want my taxes to go up, or the reality is, we're getting to a point where we're going to have to, and there is going to be a cost. Nonetheless, Limerick at the moment, they're not interested in, say, well, let's expand and include County Road 23 or Merrickville Estates. I think the big opportunity to go there is going to be at the beginning of 2023, when the province also comes out with the program is a producer responsible for to recycle. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that is. I'm not gonna hold my breath and say it's gonna be perfect. Better than nothing, perhaps, but that's going to be when we're going to have to strategically say, because I'm with Gary. I don't care how good a job they separate and collect, the limited though it is at the moment, things for recycling. When it goes down to, say, Brockville, to the bigger collection area, what are they really doing with it? Where's it really going? Maybe I'm too much of a cynic. I don't think the stuff that's being collected for recycling is necessarily being recycled, but that's my view on the world matters. Anyway, so lots of opportunity there. I'm just saying, I think these are great suggestions, Annie, and they're workable, doable. To what, where do we get to? I don't know. If we don't start, we'll never know, right?
And I think for us, if I may, Doug, is as as a committee, having worked with council for the last 4 years, we haven't made any headway in really anything that we've done. And I'm going to
And
speak on
that's-
behalf of the
that's fair
committee
call.
and just say that I hope that the next council is far more open in terms of accepting our recommendations and allowing us to do some of the work to make those things happen, because it has not,
Agree 100%.
we have nothing to show for. We really have nothing to show for as a committee, and it's
And I
very
can't-
challenging.
Yes, and fair comment, yeah, absolutely 100%.
So, okay, that's good. It's good. Okay, so does anybody have any, because that we decided to keep a pretty, I'm going to ask you, Doug, though, actually, in order for us to get this list of recommendations to you, to council, do we need to have another meeting to accept?
Yeah,
I know, just, but
I know.
we want to make sure the list gets.
Yeah, so I'm going to go by what we did with the Recreational Health and Wellness Advisory Committee when we were doing the participation, and what they did, normally, the committees meet once a month.
Yep.
Why don't you schedule a meeting for, schedule a meeting for next Wednesday? Approve
Just
them
to
in.
approve the list.
And
minutes.
just, you can,
Okay.
I mean, you
Okay.
might have an agenda, but you can singularly solely do it to approve these minutes, and then they will go to, because I don't have my calendar in front of me, but when's the next council meeting? This second Tuesday in September. So they'd be on that agenda on whatever that date is.
Okay, so we'll make it, if that's okay, thanks for that
Yeah.
suggestion, Doug. We'll do that. If that's okay with everybody, I really think we need to
Yeah.
move forward with that. So I can propose a date, maybe next Wednesday. I don't know. We can look quickly on our, it'll be it'll be a very quick meeting, just simply to approve. I'm looking at the dates, I'm looking in so that makes it the 31st of August.
No, we only meet once in August, July and August, council. So
No,
we'd be-
us to approve the
oh,
minutes.
my apologies.
Yeah, just ask to approve the minutes. But I mean, I'm also willing to do it Monday. Like I just think that we really need to make it happen. So is there a date of
It'll
preference?
come down to
Just
Janice, right? Like when does
Yeah.
she think she can have it done?
Yeah, Janice, how do you feel
Well,
about?
I'll hang on. Let me double check before I make a.
Okay, yeah, it's basically just putting the list together.
Yeah, no, I can get that done.
But
over
I'd
the
also like to get
weekend and-
Paul's input, so I will send an email to Paul just
Yep.
to make sure that his suggestions are also included in that list.
Absolutely, and I
So-
can get that done probably Saturday, frankly.
So what,
Even
I
my
mean,
husband is doing the groceries, not me.
so Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of next week. I suggest whatever works for people.
Monday is
Tuesday or
probably
Wednesday
not good for me, but Tuesday, Wednesday is not a problem.
Okay, so does anybody have preference between Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, the 30th of August or the 31st?
You just
No?
look. Let me look.
Okay. Yes, you've got more of a tight schedule, I think, Gary, then. And the sole purpose is to approve that list so we can send it to
Yep.
council. So
Yep,
we-
just
we
to have
don't-
that
We need a
clear.
few minutes, very,
Yep.
And if I might, Annie, just when the meeting's over, send an email to whoever you do at the office, just to confirm that the Zoom connection is
it's
available.
available. Yeah, I'll check with Katie.
I don't
Who
think
is-
there's any meeting next Wednesday that I
Okay.
think of.
Yeah, I'm okay those days. I'm
Okay, so do we have a preference between the Tuesday and the Wednesday? Claire, are you flexible or? Okay, so let's do the Wednesday, just because it's the Wednesdays in our mind. So that's August the 31st.
Our
I will-
usual 5 o'clock.
Yeah, if that's okay. And then I will just make sure with Katie, who's amazing, by the way. Really like working with her, very professional. Lucky to have her in the office. Or Julia, not Katie, Julia. So, okay, all right, so let's make a note of that then. Our next meeting will be on August the 31st to approve the list of recommendations for the new council. Any questions, concerns, comments before we adjourn? Nothing? Okey-dokey.
Well done, Madam Chair.
Wow, that was easy enough. Okay.
We're
so
all
I'd,
good.
A motion to close the meeting, end the meeting. It's 5:29 right now. Can I have someone move that, please? Gary,
Gary?
seconder?
Oh,
Claire,
Claire,
thank you.
already.
Okay, thank you, Doug, for being part of our meeting today. Appreciate it.
Very positive. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
Excellent. And we will see everyone on Wednesday, August the 31st at 5 o'clock.
Will do.
Okay.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Tomato soup for me.